Welcome to the Joy Talk, your curated space to living a purposeful life. I'm Vanessa Joy, and I'm here to help women out here do business, life, and everything in between their way. So, thank you for being here today for episode 2. Now, I got a special topic that I'm really excited to talk to you guys about, and this is how to self love in today's day and age. How do you cultivate self love in today's day and age? Now, this topic is important for many reasons, but let me kind of dissect this for you guys, okay? So, why I thought it was important for us to talk about self love is because self love is at the core of a lot of our well being. It's very, very important, and it's not just like a concept that can be just thrown out there. It's really a powerful foundational part of who we are. And if we do not do the practice of practicing and cultivating self-love, there are going to be gaps that come along in our lives, and that's going to be caused by a deficiency in self-love. So it's really important to cultivate self-love. It's important to understand what self-love is, and it's important to know what are tools and practices we can do to cultivate and get better at self-love in ourselves. So that's why I love the topic about self-love, and why I want to talk about self-love in terms of today's day and age. Okay, because we live in a world right now that has no precedent. Like, we don't have any precedent of where we are at right now in terms of technology, in terms of politics, in terms of accessibility, in terms of behaviors, in terms of all of the things. Right now, today's day and age is just on another level. And it's important to understand that the self-love that we were cultivating maybe 20 years back then is not the same self-love in 2024, okay? And if you guys are watching this in the future, I don't know if it's going to be in 2030. I'm really curious to know what self-love is going to look like in that age. But when I talk about today's day and age, what I mean is like, well, obviously we know, I know you know, but social media has so much power over our self-love. It has so much impact over our self-love. And whether we want to recognize it or whether we want to acknowledge it, social media has this incredible power over us, and it's transforming the way we self-love. It's transforming the way we interact. It's transforming the way we see ourselves, right? I don't even need to go into details. I know you know what I'm talking about. And then you have like self-love, where we're in a world that's extremely connected. Okay, yeah, we've got social media, but we're extremely connected with others as well. We're extremely connected with our work. We're just always kind of triggered and pulled in different direction. Triggered in a good or bad way, but I just mean like we're always kind of in alert. And that has an impact also on our self-love, because we have a bit less time and space to develop ourselves and our self-love, because we're always doing the next thing. We're always answering an email, we're looking after our kids, we're taking care of the husband, we're taking care of the things, which we should and we love to do. But these things in a world as today that's so highly connected in technology doesn't give us a lot of space and time to take a moment to cultivate our self-love. So today's day and age is really, really particular. But the good thing about acknowledging that today's day and age is different is the fact that we have access to a lot of tools. We have access to a lot of resources, sometimes a little bit of overload of information. So we got to kind of figure out what's our sweet spot when it comes to information. But we have access to things, just like today you have access to this video. And this is why I want to talk about self-love, because I'm not going to give you I'm not going to give you the cookie cutter way. I'm not going to give you the band-aid. I'm not going to give you this little magic pill that you can take and all of a sudden self-love happens. But I'm going to give you practices that you can incorporate in your life, that you can think of and you can contemplate on, and you can just incorporate and just test and see how that works for you. But give yourself some time. This is my big disclaimer. It's not no Ozempic solution. It's a work in progress, okay? Self-love is a work in progress. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes awareness, it takes consciousness, okay? So this is really important as well. That's my disclaimer. It's not like, oh, here are my 5 tips, and then you go with them and then you just roll with all the self-love and you're bathing in all the self-love and you're just like loving yourself, which I wish it was, but I'm gonna be real with you because I always am real with you, my ladies. Okay, so before I dive into my tips and my practices, I want to say practices because it's not like tips, it's more practices. I want to kind of talk about the nuances when it comes to self-love. Because sometimes people will tell me, yeah, but I'm really self-confident, like I have self-confidence and I should be okay, right, with self-love, but I don't understand why I'm lacking in certain areas of my life. And that's a good point, because self-confidence, sometimes we will think that self-love is self-confidence, and they're not necessarily they're not necessarily apart. It's not like if you have self-confidence, you don't have self-love. If you have self-love, you don't have self-confidence. They definitely coexist in a beautiful ecosystem of our lives, but they are not the same thing. And that is important. So I'm going to talk about this nuance of self-confidence and self-love, just so we understand what that means. And today we're definitely talking about self-love. So first of all, self-confidence comes from the Latin word fidere. And fidere means to trust. It's to trust that you have the ability to accomplish a goal, to accomplish something that is important to you in an area of your life. So to be confident is acknowledging that you have the ability, you have the capacity, you have the knowledge, you have the skill set to accomplish a certain goal, to accomplish a certain task, to do something in an area of your life. So take the perfect example. When we're self-confident at work, we know and master our skill set. We know and master our work. We know and master our profession. We master our industry. We know the ins and out of it. We are confident in the area of our life, which is work. But being confident in that area of your life that is work does not mean that you are confident in every other area of your lives, right? Self-confidence comes in areas of your life. It's your ability to trust that you can deliver, create, do something to reach a certain goal in an area of your life. So for example, if you know that you master your profession, you master your métier, and you know that you are doing the thing when it comes to your work, like you're the boss. Yet, at the same time, you may not also be as confident in advocating for yourself. So, right, you may know that you're extremely good at your work, but you're not necessarily confident in speaking of all your accomplishments, speaking about all your skill sets. And that is an example of self-confidence in different areas of your life. So you could be confident in one area of your life, but not as confident in another area of your life. So self-confidence is really being able to trust yourself in the ability to deliver or to create or to reach a goal in a specific area of your life. Now, when I talk about self-love, so self-love, it just has a lot of definition. And when I was doing my research for the show, I wanted to really take the definition that resonated more with me. And to me, self-love has a lot to do with self-esteem. And I wanted to kind of dissect, since I was in my whole Latin vibe, what was self-esteem in Latin, and it means estimare. Okay, so self-esteem comes from the word estimare. I'm totally saying it with like an accent, but I'm like just making it more. It's just how I read it, okay? I don't know why I'm doing that. So it comes from the word estimare, and estimare means to estimate, to value, and to estimate and to value and to appraise oneself, to value oneself as a whole. So self-esteem and self-love, to me, means that you value yourself, you estimate yourself as a whole being, okay? That you actually really truly estimate yourself, and you value yourself, and you love yourself, and you recognize your values, and you recognize who you are. And it's really an appreciation of who you are as a whole being. So that's what self-love is all about. It's being able to recognize and to grow that value, that self-value that you have for yourself. And it comes with worthiness, feeling worthy in different areas of your life, feeling worthy with that self-love, feeling that the value you have is worthy. Like, I am worthy as a whole. I am Vanessa Joy and I am worthy as a whole. And I value who I am. Okay. So that's the nuance between self-confidence and self-love, because we may be very confident in what we're doing in different areas of our lives, but we may not always value who we are as a whole. We may not always value who we are as a whole being, and we may not always recognize our worth. And that's some real talk, ladies, because I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know, because I feel it, and the women around me feel it, and my clients feel it, and I see it in the comments. I see it in different places and areas where women just kind of are vulnerable enough to speak up. We do not always see our worth, and that the fact that we do not always see our worth, the fact that we do not value always our worth and who we are, and we do not appreciate who we are as a whole being, stops us from getting to our goals. Sometimes it stops us from creating the life that we desire. So no more of that. I want us to be able to practice building that value of ourselves, building that worthiness of ourselves, because there are times, of course, that we're not going to feel worthy, and there are times that we're going to feel super worthy. But how do we kind of make sure that our foundation is like smooth sailing, and it's not just like in peak times where you're accomplishing things? So that's also another important fact, is that you don't want your self-love to be only dependent on external factors or external accomplishments. So you want to make sure, that you're not self-loving yourself when you just got the promotion, that you're self-loving yourself when you lost the weight, when you're self-loving yourself when you have accomplished this. No, you got to self-love yourself in the bad times, because it's the bad times that count. It is the bad times that count almost the most, because that's when you actually really need yourself more than anything. Okay, that was my very long intro about self-love, self-confidence, and what we're talking about today. But I'm really excited because I know this is something that is going to be beneficial for me, for you, and for all my ladies out there. Now, I got 5 practices I wanted to share with you when it comes to self-love. And just so I don't miss a beat, I'm just going to sometimes peek at my notes. I'm not just like dozing off. I wanted to make sure that I have all the things for you because I did my research. First practice, and first maybe recognition I want you to have, is give yourself some grace. Number 1, give yourself some grace. Understand that we are multifaceted beings. We're just made up of so many emotions. We're made up of so many thoughts. We're made up of so many things. And it is really important that you really make sure that you understand that you're multifaceted and that you can actually really, truly love every single part of that. And so you know that there's times and there are going to be good parts, and there's going to be low parts, and there's going to be times that are going to be more difficult than others. But just understand that you are multifaceted, and it's okay to love yourself in every single way and your whole being. So give yourself some grace. Second, let go of the idea of being perfect. You are not perfect. Nobody is perfect. And perfectionism is just a shield. It's a shield that is stopping you from allowing other people to connect with your true self and your vulnerability. So it's really important that you let go of this idea. It doesn't have to be perfect before you start. You don't have to be perfect to wear that dress. You don't have to do these things to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect job or the perfect life or the perfect Instagram, everything. Just know that it's okay to be who you are, and let go of that idea, because that's going to stop you from actually connecting with yourself and being vulnerable and actually connecting with people around you. If you're trying to always be perfect, it's not going to work. And the fact that you are trying to be perfect is going to stop you from being able to cultivate self-love. Number 3, my third practice would be treat yourself as someone you love. Treat yourself as someone you love, okay? We always kind of talk about how we treat our kids really well. We want to make sure that our kids feel confident. We want to make sure that our nieces or nephews feel confident. We want to give them all the love and all the courage that they have to go after the world and go inside the world. But we don't always treat ourselves that way. We negative self-talk. We're really hard on ourselves. It's really difficult sometimes to just get out of the rut. So it's really important that you treat yourself as you would someone you love, okay? Now, number 4, only you know truly deep down what your heart desires, and honor that. Only you know what your heart truly desires. Only you know what is important to you. And that's really important because when you cultivate what your heart truly desires, it's allowing you to build that self love. It's allowing you to understand that I'm trusting myself in honoring what I truly want, and I'm bringing that forward. It's not just staying in the back of my mind and I'm pretending to other people, this is what matters to me, this is what I care about. Honor what you truly want and know that you're the only person who knows what you truly want. Nobody can guess and nobody can figure that out for yourself. Just know that you're the only one can do that. And my five and my last practice is continuously cultivate self-trust. Continuously cultivate trust. And how do you do that? Be impeccable with your word. Be impeccable with your own words. So how do you build trust with someone else is that when they do an action, when they do something that they're going to say that they're going to do, and they respect that action, they respect their word, you can trust them, right? When someone says, I'm going to go pick up your kids, and they actually go pick up your kids, you know that you can trust them for the next time. If someone says, I'm going to pick up your kids, and your kids are still waiting at daycare and they didn't pick them up, you know you cannot trust them. So that's the same thing when it comes to ourselves, right? You want to make sure that you build the self-trust that you have with yourself. You build that relationship. And how do you do that? Is that when you say to yourself, I'm going to do something, make sure that you make it happen with your own actions. Make sure that you show yourself that you can trust your own word, and that is going to help. So those were my 5 practices that you can have and that you can do in order to practice and cultivate self-love in today's day and age, and kind of bring down the noise and make sure that you're able to rise up from everything that's happening inside your lives and everything that's happening externally of your lives, and just make sure that you can cultivate that self-love in today's day and age. So that is that, my ladies. Now, if you put in practice any of these 5 practices, please let me know how it goes. Give yourself some time. It takes time. Self-love is a continuous progress. It's a continuous evolution. And know that every time you're going to evolve in a new chapter of your lives, and as we know, women are always in new chapters of our lives, that self-love is going to change and is going to need more care and attention. So just make sure that you're growing with your self-love and you're giving yourself time. It's not just like a one-stop shop. It's not a quick fix. It's really a work in progress. So just make sure that you give yourself time to build your self-love. And I want to know what practice resonates the most with you. I want to know which one that you're going to put in place. I think for me, it's going to be that I know what my heart truly desires, and I'm going to be able to honor that. I think that's the one I'm going to put first and foremost after I leave, and just bring that forward for my self-love in today's day and age. So that is that, my ladies. I hope that you got a little gems from this episode, and I will see you next week for our next episode. Thank you so much for being here.